Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview series. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Peter Gilleece, founder of Vikela Armour here in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Peter, delighted you could join us. Why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for?
Yeah, so I'm Peter Gilleece, the founder and CEO of Vikela. Basically, we create new ways to manufacture products that work more with people. So really making things that fit with people a lot better. And our first product is stop resistant body armor, and hoping to go on to ballistics within a year or 18 months as well.
Very good. So in terms of that, obviously my first thought is like a police force for a stab fest, but who's your ideal customer?
Yeah, the police force would be like a really big one. Obviously, a lot of the customers are just like public facing people. So you got police officers and prison officers. Unfortunately, you get like paramedics, you get like private security, as well. So it's basically a lot of anyone who has to is public facing that can be in a dangerous situation. You know, people who have to work maybe late at night or with people who may be inebriated or anything like that. That people might lash out. So yeah, it's all about just keeping people protected and safe in their jobs.
Okay, great, good. So what's the biggest learning that you've had since becoming a business owner and founding Vikela?
There's a lot more paperwork than I assumed there would be. But yeah, I think the main learning is, well, probably a couple of things is one that you can't do everything. Like there are a limited amount of hours in the day, and you have to be okay with trusting people and delegating some tasks and being okay with stepping back and not being able to do everything yourself. I'd say that's probably like my main biggest learning is just being okay, not being in complete control of everything.
A good one. Learning how to delegate, how to relinquish that control a little bit, and
Yeah,
trust somebody
especially
else
coming
with it.
from like, where it's your thing that you've developed and that you're keen to grow yourself. But there's just different like I can't learn all of the legal side of import export stuff and the finance side of how to structure all of these. Like you just can't learn everything. So
Of course.
yeah, that was a learning experience.
Excellent. So when you were growing up, Peter, is this something that you always wanted to do?
Well, I always, wanted to, well, actually, not always. I think until I was like 17, I wanted to be a dentist just because I get paid well and you get to clock off at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's not like, um, but in the back of my head, I was always like, oh yeah, I want to, have my own business and run my own business. But I never knew what that would be. Um, but I just remember watching like, you watch The Apprentice or Dragon's Den back when you're like 13, 14, and you're like, I could do that. That'd be all right. But then it was sort of through university. It was wasn't focused on things. It was more focused on like learning and taking things in. And then it was only in my last like year or two that I really started honing in on ideas that I could really pursue and find like the Enterprise SU people at Queen's. They would help me with, from an engineering background, I can do the product stuff all day long, but might not necessarily know about like how to patent stuff or how to how you need to set things up if you're going to take on investment or anything like that. So that really helped pursue. And then it was after graduating, I was just sort of like, right, I'm picking this idea and I'm going full steam with it.
Brilliant. Excellent. So what's been the biggest issue you've had to overcome so far?
I think at the start it was like a lack of network. So I graduated in 2020, so it's like the middle of COVID. So I don't have time to go out and meet people at different things or get to know people. So you're introduced to a lot of people through emails, and at that time everyone's just getting emails, and it's hard to make yourself stand out. So
Sure.
I think at the start it's just trying to grow that network in what can be like quite a difficult space as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Work can be quite closed off. So trying to get people in and then trying to make yourself stand out, and then while trying to do everything else, I think like trying to grow a solid network for you to be able to pull off and really make use of was probably the biggest challenge at the start, definitely.
Okay. Great sharing. obviously great things that other people who are going to follow in your footsteps need to know and need to be aware of. So what have you learned about yourself during this sort of three-year journey, is it so far?
About 3.5. It goes quick. I'd say I've learned, like, you know, yeah, it's sort of difficult because it's things that I always like knew that I could do through other things that I would that I've done previously, where you're like, you can be disciplined enough to practice things and to train on things to be able to like reach your goals. You're able to, I'd say one of the things that I think allows me to do what I do well is I can sort of know what my limits are, and I'll constantly like test and push at those.
Okay.
So that you know how much you can work before you need to rest, or you need to sort of recoup, or you need that like time to work on yourself, because you can't just do it all the time, because you'll burn out and then that'll be disastrous. So you need to be able to structure yourself so that you're able to get the most out of everything. And I think understanding those limits a bit better was what you're best at learning, that how to run yourself as well as possible, basically. So like making sure that you're exercising, making sure, well, people probably disagree with this, but like making sure you try to eat like decently well. But just taking care of yourself will equal taking care of the business stuff as well.
Yeah, and so often people fall into the trap where they just do work all the time in the business and burn themselves out, like you said. But it's a very much looking after and being you, and training you to be who you want to be.
Yeah,
so you can do what you have to do.
I think that's a big part, and I think it's especially for, I think, like younger people coming in go like, oh, if you go to start a company, it's gonna be like 24 hours a day. I'm just focused on like growing this, and I'm on the grind set, and I'm doing all this stuff, and you can do that, but you will feel the repercussions of it, and it won't work long term. So you're better trying to build, how you work more sustainably than that.
Yeah. No, great share. Really, really important fact, because what is it the old adage says, lots of people waste their health to get wealth, and then they have to spend their health to spend their wealth to fix their health. Whereas if you do the right things at the first time, then you're going to have long-term health for your long-term journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. And in these sort of 3.5 years, what's the most surprising aspect of owning your own business?
I don't know. I'd say it was like, I think the community in Northern Ireland was surprising, because I didn't really know that it was there to start off with. But there's so many different people set up. So like I said, there's the enterprise SU that can help you when you're like first starting and you need to find your feet, or there's Catalyst that have like various programs for if you don't know anything, even just like work experience, all the way right through to I'm a massive company, I'm looking to scale my sales and things like that. So there's so many communities within Northern Ireland, and everyone's looking to help each other, and it's a really great thing to see. And I imagine it's not going to be like that everywhere either. Like it's a being the size that we are, and always being willing to help people is a nice thing about here. But it was surprising to see that there's that much help that you can avail of if you do want to start your business.
Yeah, and it really is a great resource out there. Really encourage anybody who's watching to look at all avenues that they can get that
No, absolutely.
help with.
Because like I say, there's programs for everyone, even if you just want to like dip your toe and find a bit more about things, or if you're looking for, maybe you're like, oh, I know the business side, but I don't have a product, and you can go to co-founders and find things like that. But there's really something for everyone. So if you want to learn more, or give things a try, there's people there to help you, and I would encourage anyone to give it a go.
Super. So who inspires you in business?
I don't know if there's anyone specifically in business. There's a couple of like companies that I like, and a couple of like general like leaders I think are good. Actually, thinking about it, they all tend to be automotive, but I think that's just because I'm a car person. But from like a leadership perspective, there's Christian Horner, who's the head of the Red Bull F1. I think he's fantastic, like as a leader, because he can do sort of all aspects. It's a very, very, very tough job that he has, and he balances it like fantastically, from knowing when to spin up press to get, attack the other teams almost, and knowing how to deal with it on himself, but knowing how to like manage different drivers. And, when you look at like their pit stops, there's some of the best in the season, and having that in all aspects just running smoothly together is incredibly difficult, but
Yeah.
he manages it very well. So I think as a leader and a manager, he would definitely be up there for me.
Very good. And then do you use any sort of like favorite books or podcasts for inspiration and motivation?
Nothing specifically. Like, I'm not loads of I'm dyslexic, so like reading is quite difficult. So I tend to do like I'll do like articles and stuff on my phone, but it's because you can move the top line, so it's in line with the top of your phone, so you've got like less words to get
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
But I don't tend to do loads of books, and if I was doing podcasts or anything, it would be more trying to relax or chill out or something.
Yeah.
Not anything like I'd come back to for motivation. I said my main motivation is just seeing where I want to be, and then just trying to move the pieces around so that you're in the best position to reach those goals, really.
Great. Which is a good lead into my next question, which is, what does the future look like for both yourself and Vikela? And what would you see as your main challenges going forward?
So in the future, we're aiming to be basically like the new standard in personal protection, but beyond that, a really new type of manufacturing and like design ethos that you can work in, like I said, to make products work best with people. So, like for example, the current stab products, or stab resistant products, will pass standards with a blade penetrates by 30 millimeters. I personally view that as like unacceptable levels of impact. So it's sort of trying to step and improve those standards by working with the people that will create the standards, but also letting customers know there's better options, while also letting industry know that you can choose better products and you can do that. Like female stab protection is only tested at half that the male stab protection is tested to. Again, something that I view as an unacceptable standard, but it's not something you can just change overnight. You have to work with all of the different stakeholders in that to build that progress. But beyond manufacture, just personal protection, and there will be automotive, or making things just stronger and lighter, or aerospace, like same concept. So it's really that I'm an ideas person. I love to just like create new things. So that ability to apply our manufacturing and our design knowledge and all of that real like value hub that we're able to create to all of these different industries, and sort of show the way that you can make products better, is really what I would aim for.
Fantastic. All sounds very exciting and innovative, and wish you every success for that going forwards.
Thank you.
And can continue success as you grow and grow. What would you say to anybody who was thinking of going into business for themselves? I know you shared earlier about looking out for as much information from the current resources that are here locally, but apart from that, what would you say to anybody thinking of starting their own business?
I would say it's always worth doing, and I think there's a point where some people get to where you might have an idea and you might have worked some stuff out, but you might take it away and go, oh well, I'll learn a bit more about this and then I'll do it, or I'll spend more time doing this. And you do need to do that to a point, so that you're not just jumping into things blind. But there is a point where you just need to commit to something, and that's the scariest part. That is like the hardest part. But once you get over that, you realize that you are able to navigate, and there are people to help you, and there are options available, and you can do it. So I would encourage everyone to either like explore what options you can need, and what help you might need to get to where you need to be. And don't be so scared of that jump. It is like I say, the scariest and the hardest bit, but it is doable, and yeah, you can overcome it, and there is people there to help you along the way after that as well.
Brilliant, brilliant share. And you yourself have proven it that it can be done.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic opportunity for me to interview such a young entrepreneur, and really appreciate your time. Last sort of question as we wrap up. I know you're not that old like I am, but we always ask this, that if you could roll the clock back and give yourself some advice when you're 18, what's the best piece of advice you would give the 18-year-old Peter?
Probably it would probably be some along the lines of, you can slow down, like you can, there is time for things. It's not like, I think being 18, you assume that everything comes super fast, and you have to make use of everything at that point. But like I'm only 27 now, but you realize like there is time to do things, and you don't have to be burning yourself out effectively.
Yeah.
Which I definitely think I would have been guilty of, and I still sometimes am to the point. But that trying to make use of like all the time you are able to slow down a bit.
Excellent. Great sharing. And Peter, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Business Spotlight, and wish you every success going forwards.
No problem. Thank you for having me.